Hey, my little honeys, how are y'all? Okay, so look, I want to talk about red flags, okay? I want to talk about the lies that'll start to kind of have like holes in it. And you'll notice it that the narc may tell you one thing, right? And you believe it, right? Because why would that person lie? But then whenever you're out in public or maybe you're with friends, you may notice something different that they tell them and you're kind of going, that's not what they told me. Like, why is the story changing? Well, I noticed throughout like my spiritual awakening and just kind of putting puzzle pieces together that I started to kind of notice the characters that were around me. And when I did that, I would think back of all the things that they had said. And then like, again, when we're in public or around friends, they kind of forget what they've told you because their lies start to kind of unravel. And you'll kind of be sitting in this fog like, like, wait a minute, they told me something, totally different. So you guys, when you are going through this with a narcissistic sociopath kind of person, what I did was I started writing it down in my calendar. So when something would happen, like say on a weekend or whatever, I would write it down. And then say that next week would come around and maybe the narcissist says, well, you did it, and you're like, no, like this happened last week. Because I noticed that whenever I would get into conversations with narcissistic kind of people, they would kind of exaggerate, right? They would kind of say things like, well, that never happens, or that always happens, or that kind of thing. And you're kind of going, but does it? But does it? This is actually sage. I like to burn sage just to clear my energy, to clear the space. You can get sage online, Amazon, that kind of stuff. Also Palo sticks. This is kind of almost done, but it's a little stick. You just light it and you can go through your house when you're cleansing the house. Open up a window and let the smoke go out. Typically, the spirit or bad energy that is in it, they don't necessarily like the sage, and also even mugwort. So you can add things to your sage as well. Let's go back to the narcissism. So some of the red flags that I've noticed was I would write things down, and whenever I would get into like this battle of, this competition, because it just seems like there's either black or white. It's either they love you or they hate you. It's not like a forgiving kind of a thing. It's just like, and then all of a sudden, like, they discard you. Like now they're like, fuck you, I hate you, discard, and then they'll move on to the next person. So I started to write things down because I just wanted to keep track. I felt like I was in this fog where I'm like, did that even happen? Or I found myself defending myself because the narcissist in my life would say that this didn't particularly happen. And I'm like, yes, it did. It happened last Thursday, and I would have to confront that particular person. Now, I noticed that I started doing that with my mom too, because mom would say stuff, or even my dad. My dad was kind of weird about things like, let's say like birthday cards. Say birthdays would come around and he's like, I didn't get a birthday card from you. And I'm like, do I have to give one? Like, I feel like for me, I would rather you call me and have actual conversation, a fulfilled, like some weight to it, kind of get to know the person, and what they're doing and that kind of stuff in life, right? Especially if you don't talk to the person all day. I would rather have that, or all the time. I would rather have that versus a card that somebody else wrote and you signed, right? So I noticed that he was kind of ticky about stuff like that, which never made sense to me, right? So notice those particular things, especially write it down in your calendar just to keep your brain straight, because they will do everything. It's manipulation, okay? They will manipulate you. And then, they will gaslight you as well, basically making your reality wrong. So if you write it down in your calendar, then you're like, nope, it happened on Thursday. Like go back a couple months, this happened. He cannot, or she cannot, because it's narcissists are female and male. They can be both. It's not just one gender, that kind of stuff. It's not even one like race or anything like that. It's across the board. So if you notice things like that, where you're just having troubles, I guess, keeping up with some of the things oh, did you hear it? It fell on my bone. Some of the things that you just, have a hard time keeping up with, that will help you. That will give you more clarity when the person comes back to you and says, that never happened, or I did do this, or I didn't do that. You can go, no, actually, it's keeping you sane, okay? Because they will drive you insane. So I want to go through like superiority and flying monkeys and that kind of stuff. I do have, it says use your calendar to keep track of the behavior, arguments, sex, that kind of thing. Because I noticed that like in my marriage, Jason would say stuff like, we haven't had sex in forever. And I'm thinking, it happened last week. Like, what is your forever? Like 4 days? Like that happened last week. What are you doing? So remember that, because at that time, once that is their excuse or that is their argument, what are they going to say when it was like 4 days ago? You kind of have to debunk some of their stuff, because again, the reality is off. Okay, so here's some of the flying monkeys. I noticed in my family dynamic that there were a couple people that kind of kept the drama like stirring, right? And it was my mom. Well, I noticed that like my sister is 9 years older than me, right? She lives down in like middle Georgia, and I'm more up by like Atlanta area. Well, I noticed that, mom would go to my sister's house and do whatever, and then she would come to my house and do whatever, but we never got together. Like the two sisters and the mom never got together, and I started thinking, is it because she's going to my sister's house and then stirring up drama, and like she would come to my house and say a bunch of stuff about like my sister and her family? Is she doing that to me? Like, is she going to my sister's house and then talking crap about me and my family? I just noticed those kind of things. There's like this web of lies, there's smear campaigns, that kind of thing. And it just kind of boggled my mind, because on one hand, she would say, oh, I want you to be so close to your sister. And I'm like, well, I can only reach out for so long until like, I'm not doing that anymore. Obviously it's not reciprocated. Obviously something, has been said or whatever, because I don't know her. Like, my sister and I are 9 years apart, and we're not close at all. We've never been close. And I feel like the reason why is because when I was 9, she was 18, and she joined the Air Force. So she went off to Italy. So I was basically like an only child, which kind of like separated us that way too, but then also in age. Like, we're 9 years apart. That's a huge generational gap. So you have to just remember, like, there will be blame shifting and entanglement. When you get entangled with somebody like that, expect those things. Now, I have talked to like my niece, and I'm like, hey, like, what is mom saying to you? Because I feel like the web is getting kind of blurry, and I noticed that even whenever she was here, things were said that I'm like, Mom, like, why are you even saying that? Like, again, I would write it down. And then like the next time that I talked to her, it was kind of the same thing. So I'm like, is she casting this web to kind of keep us apart? Like, one thing she would say is like, she wants us to be together, but then on the next side, she's talking crap about her. So I'm like, you're not really painting a great picture of my sister to me. So like, what's going on? It's like triangulation. There's this 3 triangulation kind of thing where it's like there's one party that is kind of stirring the pot, keeping the drama going. So I noticed that in that family dynamic, it was just odd to me, because typically like I have 2 daughters, and then my son is older, but the oldest, and then I have my 2 daughters. And if I want to get them together, then I would be like, hey, you guys, let's go meet here. Let's have dinner, or let's, meet at the house and let's all be together, because I want everybody to be together. If I can have everybody together, then I don't have to be running all over the state of Georgia to go and be with them. They can all meet me here at the house. And it just didn't seem like that happened very often. It seemed like that she's a spoon and she keeps it stirring, and she's a gossip bunny too, because it was like, Mom, I don't want to hear about those things. Like, let me form my own opinion of my sister and her family and that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want it to be toxic or tainted that way. It just seemed very odd. Superiority. Okay, it feels like they're better. So when somebody feels like they are, like kingpin, that kind of stuff, they are going to, kind of have no regard for anybody else's feelings, or no regard for your feelings in particular, right? Now, they may show kind, compassion, that kind of stuff, because again, it's manipulation. The narcissist wants everybody on the outside to think that they are perfect and they have a perfect house and a perfect job and everything, like this picture perfect thing. Facebook and that kind of stuff, I think, kind of taints all of that, because again, I can post a perfect picture, but inside of my house is a totally different story, right? So when you're dealing with somebody that has kind of a superiority complex, notice the red flags. Okay, be very quick to notice the red flags. Just note it, that kind of thing. Also, be careful with telling them particular things, because like with my mom, I noticed that when I would tell certain things, I'm in the back of my mind, I would think, is she gonna go to my sister and like tell her all my drama or tell her all my scoop? Like I'm trying to confide in my mom, right? Is she going to every Tom, Dick, and Harry and telling them, because at this point she's telling me all of Tom, Dick, and Harry's stuff, their information. So why would she not do it to the next person with my information? So be very careful when they hold a superiority, big word, $10 word. When they have that complex, they don't care. They want to be that center of attention. So say she's talking shit about me, right, in front of people. Well, in that case, then she's kind of the topic. She's kind of the person that is going to hold the conversation, hold the floor, right? And people are asking questions or whatever, she can make up lies or manipulate it or whatever. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing. Again, it's superiority. She feels like she's able to do that. You shouldn't be able to do that. Like if somebody confides in you or says something to you that's like really, just very private, you would think that you would be able to talk to your mom and or your dad, right? Or family members, whoever you're super close to. It may be an aunt, it may be your grandmother, whatever. Same concept though, right? So I had moved out to Colorado. Here's an example of this kind of like superiority kind of thing. I moved out to Colorado. I started dating a guy from the Air Force Academy, a dork. And I got pregnant. I was like, damn, I am so damn fertile. And, I'm laying on, did the whole 9 months. I'm laying on my couch. I could feel my child coming. I'm like, I know this is about to happen. Well, I had already had Brandon. Okay. I had already had him. So I'm like, okay, let me take my child to this family member's house so that they can watch my son. Right. I remember flying in the driveway and I'm like, hey, like I'm in labor. Can you watch my kid? Let me go pop this kid out and I'll be back. And I remember that the family member was just like, I have to work. I have things to do. And I'm like, hello, like I have a thigh hanging out of my vagina and you want to tell me that you have to work? Like I have to drive myself to the hospital. And I remember even like blowing through traffic lights because I'm like looking both ways. I'm like, this child's thigh is out of my, like, come on. She's crowning in my vagina, that kind of thing. So I did have her in 3 hours. I did not have an epidural. I was just like, oh, this child. So that to me is a superiority kind of thing. Did that family member have any compassion that I have like this child crowning? No, not at all. She was more worried about she had to work. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm banging on the door, answer the door. Like and once I was like, I felt like I was begging her just to watch my kid. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like have this kid and like handcuff my son to the bottom of the bed. Like, hold on, baby, mommy's having another kid, And in that case, I was just like, that's so cruel. That is so toxic. Again, when you start to wake up and you start to do the due diligence, what is that word? Due diligence. When you start to do that and you start to see the people around you and what they have done to you. Now, again, I am no saint. I have done stuff too. I'm just relaying the things that I have gone through, experiences that I have dealt with within even like my family dynamic, because I want to teach you guys what I've learned in like the last couple years. I put my head inside of the YouTube channel of narcissism and I was just like, teach me, because I knew that something was wrong, but I really couldn't put my finger on it, right? Even whenever I first heard the word narcissism, I was like, what's that word? Like, that's like a total $10 word, right? Total $10. So I started noticing that they were showing their true colors, right? And it was hard for me to be able to have to say that person is very toxic to me because that person was also a family member. But when I'm standing there with this child, like I'm having contractions as I'm like literally yelling at one of my family members because I'm in pain. Like, hello. That's when I had to realize that that person is no good for me. Okay, that person does not have my best interest. She's more worried about going to work. Like, how hard would it have been just to be like, hey, you know, so and so is having her child today, I'm gonna have to call out, that kind of thing. I feel like that's a really good excuse. You're not lying, I was really popping out a kid. So once you start to wake up and you start to realize the characters around you, again, all of this is self-development, so you have to do it too. You cannot put all the blame off, right? Because I had to look at myself too. I had to look at the mirror as to what I was doing too. Was I doing that kind of stuff? Was I acting that way? Was I being cruel to people? Was I acting in a superiority kind of manner? You know, you have to really be very clear, and that's going to be writing it down. If you write it down and you can visually see it, then you can start to go, okay, I accept that. I do that. Now I need to work on that, right? You're not going to be able to just like pour the blame on somebody else all the time, because you have to take accountability for yourself. That's part of the growth. That's part of the spiritual awareness that you're going to have to literally do for yourself. Because when you start to do it for yourself and you can recognize those behaviors, those toxic behaviors in yourself, then you can see them in the other, right? You can see them in the other people because that's what they're doing too. You know, we have a masculine and a feminine side. We are supposed to balance that, right? If it's off balance, then like for me, I'm a female, so I may be working in a more masculine kind of energy because I was a single mom and I had to kind of have that get up and go and that kind of energy to me, versus being very feminine to where it's like, you know, you're more coddling and nurturing and that kind of stuff. I found that even being a single parent, that I did work in more of a masculine kind of energy. One, I didn't want to get hurt, so I felt like I was like blocking everybody. But then two, I knew that I had to be the head of the household and the mom at the same time to my two kids. So be aware of the humans that are around you, even family, friends, and spouses, okay? Unrealistic expectations. Okay. That goes back to like sending the birthday cards, okay? For me, again, I would much rather have you call me. Let's have a conversation. Excuse me, I just ate lunch. Let's have a conversation. Let's, you know, actually have this like a good, just well-rounded, like, hey, how are you? What's going on? How was your birthday? You know, that kind of stuff. Your birthday present is on the way, but my dad always seemed to be like butthurt that I didn't send him a card. And I'm like, okay, like too much. And then the other thing is, I had two examples. Jason seemed to have this misconception, I think, but for me to be very submissive to him, like during sex, right? It's almost like one time we got into an argument and I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, answer the door ass naked when you come home from work? And he's like, yeah, you know, and I'm going, whoa, like I know that was kind of outlandish that I even said that because it's not even realistic, but do you really want that? And he's like, you don't even say, you know, you're not even downstairs. Like, I guess he wanted me to greet him at the door, like a little butler, like, hello, welcome home, you know, that kind of thing. That's not really realistic, okay? I have things to do here at the house, and you know, since I do work from the house, and then also I have to just kind of keep everything tidy. I like to keep a clean house. It's a little bit of an OCD thing, but that's how I function, you know? So it just seemed like some of the things that he wanted me to do were unrealistic to me, because I'm like, so you literally want me to hear the garage door open, run downstairs, like in lingerie, like ready, you know, for you? Like, who taught you that? You know, like, where do you think that that's even, you know, reality? Who does that? If you do that, please tell me, because I know of nobody that answers the door when their husband comes home in like lingerie, unless it's like a little like, we're about to get freaky deek, you know, that kind of thing, and you want to surprise him. But if I'm literally answering the door Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then whenever I do surprise him, it's not really a surprise, right? There's nothing to go, ooh, you know, let's get freak deek, you know, that kind of thing. So you have to heal yourself. Understand that these people are toxic to your growth. Again, superiority, okay? Flying monkeys. You know, who's the one in the family that is stirring the pot? Because I noticed that, like, even whenever I was around some family too, I was kind of like, why are these people kind of treating me some type of way when I don't even know them? Who is telling them something negative about me for them to act that way or even have that energy towards me, right? Again, I'm not close with my family. I'm not close to my family. So how would they even know anything about me to have some sort of energy or opinion about me unless somebody told them, you know? And that's when I started to really think about, like, who's the spoon? Show me the spoon, you know? And then on top of it, the lack of empathy, it's like, you know, did that person hear something and then believe mom? Like, why didn't they just, you know, ask me or see how I actually acted or see how I actually spoke to, like, particular people? It's almost like people nowadays just want to, like, take everybody's opinion about whoever, you know, and go, oh yeah, I hate them too. No, you really don't. You're hating them because this person hates them. You know, like, that's kind of dumb, you know? But if you can realize the family dynamics and realize, like, who's doing it, write your stuff down. Okay. Again, you're going to be in this fog. Okay. I was married to Jason for 11 years. We're going through a divorce, and I noticed that the reality of our existence was off. It was so off, because when we would get into arguments or we would get into, like, I'm defending myself at this point. I learned not to defend myself too, because I already had it written down. I'm like, nope, that wasn't true. So I'm not even going to entertain that, you know, which then he would get mad because now I'm gray rocking him, and then he's upset because I'm not pushing back. They want that response, you know? So a couple of the things or people that I have learned a lot from on YouTube. Again, I, like, dove my whole head into YouTube. Narcissistic people, anything. I wanted to know. And even whenever I found out what the word narcissism was, I was like, oh my God, am I that? Like, do I do that? Do I reflect my bullshit onto people? Do I gaslight people and say, no, you don't really think that. You don't really think that. You think this. You know, no, not necessarily, because I know that other people have their own opinions. They have their own storylines. And who am I to actually say yes or no, or you believe that or you don't? I don't know the person's storyline. How would I even say that? You know, so the people that are on YouTube is the Little Shaman. The Little Shaman helped me through so much, so much. There's another lady that I came across the other night called Jen Grice, and it's G Rice, Grice. And she's on YouTube too. And she talks a lot about, like, biblical, like, you know, the Bible's like, you can't get divorced. No. Yes, you can. Okay. For peace of mind, I'll take that up with God. I'll be like, look, you saw it. Wouldn't you have divorced him? You know, like that kind of thing. So look up these people. Also, Rebecca Zung, she is an attorney, and she also talks about narcissistic behavior. Dr. Romney, great person. Look these people up on TikTok too, as you're scrolling through. People on TikTok also give, like, their experiences and that kind of stuff. And that's whenever I was really looking in. Again, when I saw the word narcissistic or narcissistic personality disorder, I had no idea what the hell it meant. I literally had to look it up. And then things started to click, and then puzzle pieces started going, and I'm like, holy hell. Then I started looking for content creators that were actually talking about it. And it was kind of funny, because then I started coming across it on TikTok, and I'm just like, I can relate, you know, and then it made myself feel better, because I was like, I can see the people around me, you know? So if you do like this content and you can resonate with my storyline, that's what I want. Okay. I want you guys to understand that you're not alone. I spent countless years wondering, what is wrong with me? Okay. Why am I getting all this backlash from people? Well, once I started learning about narcissistic personality disorder, I was like, oh, I get it, you know, that kind of thing. So thank you guys so much for expanding your mind. I appreciate it, because look, if you have a closed mind and you're just like, nope, I'm superior. Nope, I'm doing this. Nope, my way, you know, that kind of thing. It's toxic. Okay. That is toxic. When you can expand your mind, expand your heart center too. Expand that, because then you can kind of go, okay, I understand the family dynamic. Also, you guys came down here for a purpose. So when you signed that contract with God, God was basically, okay, this is the family that you're going to be in, right? And this is the storyline that you're going to have. And you agreed to all of that. So once you also can realize that I had this contract with God, universal energy, okay, consciousness. I made the decision to come down here and find my purpose, because again, when we go through the birthing canal, we have amnesia, right? We forget it. We almost have to, that's our whole purpose, is to figure out where we came from and figure out what our purpose is and get back to our genuine self, our soul. We are humans having a spiritual experience. Or no, wait, we are spirit having a human experience. Sorry. And I think once I realized that, everything started to really make sense for me. Also, then I could do that self-development and knowing what the things that I needed to work on too. So again, thank you so much for expanding your mind. If you would like to shop with me, it's hashtag LibraMoon73. I am on Instagram, Snap, Facebook, and TikTok. I also have a podcast, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts, and I will meet you on the flip side.